I never imagined that standing next to my father's coffin would feel like stepping into a trap. The polished oak gleamed under the dim lights of the Chicago funeral home, surrounded by wilting roses that did little to hide the heavy air of loss and lies. My name is Emily Carter. And at 29, I thought I'd already buried the worst of my family's fractures when my mom passed years ago. But as the lawyer, Mr. Harlan cleared his throat and fixed his gaze on me, everything shattered. In addition to the estate division, he said, his voice steady but laced with unease, your father, Thomas Carter, has stipulated a debt of $85,000 owed by Emily to the estate for the costs of her upbringing from birth to 18. The words hit like ice water, freezing me in place. Debt? For being raised? I glanced at my stepmother, Victoria, who stood there with her son, Dylan, from her previous marriage. Her lips twitched, not in sorrow, but in something darker, satisfaction. In that instant, the room wasn't a place of mourning anymore, it was a chessboard. And I realized the real enemy wasn't the man in the casket. It was the woman who'd slithered into his life and turned love into leverage. The service dragged on, whispers rippling through the sparse crowd of distant relatives and business associates. I'd flown in from Denver last night, my suit still creased from the haste, leaving behind my job as a financial analyst where numbers always added up until now. Thomas had been 57, felled by a sudden stroke. Or so the doctor said. Victoria dabbed at her eyes with a silk scarf. But I saw the dryness there. The performance. Dylan, 24 and perpetually entitled, scrolled through his phone, his boredom a slap in the face. They occupied the front pew like royalty, while I stood alone, an outsider in my own family's farewell. Harlan continued, outlining the will, the Lakeview condo, the stock holdings from Dad's consulting firm, all split between Victoria and Dylan. I hadn't expected a windfall. Dad had chosen her over me long ago, but this? A bill for my childhood? The records are detailed, Harlan explained, avoiding my stare. Food, shelter, schooling, medical, totaling $85,000. Payable over 4 years with interest. The murmurs grew. Aunt Evelyn, Dad's sister, gasped softly behind me. That's not right, she muttered. But Victoria leaned in, her voice honeyed poison. Thomas always believed in personal responsibility. Emily, even for family. Her eyes gleamed. Responsibility? I'd clawed my way through state college on scholarships and night shifts at a diner, because Dad claimed the firm was struggling. Now this ledger of resentment? My hands trembled as I accepted the envelope Harlan handed me. Flipping through the pages, I saw the entries in Dad's precise script: $500 for braces at 12, $2,000 for high school tuition, down to groceries tallied like receipts from a bad loan. But something caught my eye, a bank code on one transfer. It matched the college savings account Dad had set up for me after Mom died. The dates lined up with Dylan's enrollment at Northwestern's business program. I shoved the paper back at Harlan, our eyes locking. His subtle nod said he knew. As the guests filed out, murmuring about the shocking clause, Victoria brushed past me. For years. Emily, don't drag this out. Dylan smirked. Tough luck, sis. But I stayed rooted, the grief twisting into fury. This wasn't Dad's doing, not the man who'd once called me his sharp little accountant in training. This was theft, wrapped in legal paper. That night, in my budget motel room overlooking the foggy Chicago River, sleep evaded me. Instead, memories flooded in, each one sharpening the blade of betrayal. The divorce hit when I was 9. Clean on paper, but messy in the heart. Mom got custody, Dad got every other weekend. For a year. It was golden. He'd swing by in his old Ford. Take me to Wrigley Field for Cubs games. Help with math homework over pizza. You're gonna outsmart us all. Kiddo, he'd say, ruffling my hair. Then Victoria entered the picture. A sleek real estate agent with sharp suits and sharper ambitions. She met Dad at a networking event. And within months, she and Dylan had invaded our modest Lincoln Park home. My first visit post-wedding? My bedroom, painted sky blue with Dad's help, was now Dylan's gaming den. My stuff? Packed in the attic. Emily can use the spare room, Victoria cooed. She's barely here. Dylan needs space for his setup. Dad didn't argue. The visits soured fast. Victoria critiqued my outfits, so thrift store chic, my report cards, B+. Aim higher, my mom. Must be tough on a nurse's salary. Dylan, 5 years older, treated me like a pest, blasting video games during my study time, borrowing my allowance, mocking my hand-me-downs. By 15, I'd stopped going. Dad's calls faded to generic birthday texts with dwindling gift cards. College loomed. And I'd gotten into University of Illinois on merit. Excited, I called Dad. Proud of you. He said warmly. Let's celebrate, just us. Steak at Gibson's. But the dinner became a stiff meeting in his office. Victoria presiding. Education's earned. Not given, Dad mumbled. Eyes down. Builds character. Victoria chimed in. Dylan got in on his merits. Talent opens doors. Truth? Dylan's partial scholarship covered peanuts. The rest? Mystery until now. I graduated magna cum laude in finance. Buried in $70,000 loans. Surviving on coffee and determination. Our last talk? 3 years back. Sharing my promotion at the Denver firm. Victoria answered, Thomas is tied up with Dylan's launch party from Northwestern. Top of his class in marketing. The jab. He reminds Thomas of himself, ambitious. Driven. It stole my breath. No more calls. Now. Staring at my laptop in the motel. I pulled up my loan balance. $58,000 left. Savings? $4,500. Laughable against this phantom debt. But that bank code nod. Digging through old emails. I found one from Dad 6 years ago. Set up a college fund for you. Victoria's handling distributions to keep it proper. Should cover tuition and basics. Not a dime reached me. The $85,000 debt? Spot on match for 4 years at U of I. She'd siphoned my future for Dylan. Then billed me for it. Rage solidified into resolve. Tomorrow, Harlan. Tonight, plan. Harlan and partners occupied a sleek glass tower in the Loop. All chrome and confidentiality. I arrived at dawn. Before Victoria could meddle. His assistant ushered me in. Figured you'd show, Harlan said. Pouring coffee. Rough day yesterday. Show me everything, I demanded. He spread files, expense logs. But then the real gold, bank statements. Withdrawals. The Carter Education Fund, $85,000. You as beneficiary. Victoria as trustee. Transfers, $22,000 to Northwestern. Repeated each term until drained. These forms, I whispered. Spotting my signature. Close. But the loop on the E was off, too perfect. Forgery. Harlan's eyes narrowed. Serious claim. But he pulled emails. From emilic.educ@gmail.com, not mine, thanking Dad for funds. Gushing about marketing classes. I studied finance at U of I. Not Northwestern. Harlan nodded. Thomas wasn't tech-savvy. Believed it all. Victoria's doing. Proving it needs forensics, he said. But I flagged these diversions years ago. Victoria claimed you switched schools. Too stubborn to admit it. His face hardened. Should have pushed. But privilege tied my hands. No. with Dad gone. The debt doc signed weeks before his stroke. Medicated haze. Weak case, Harlan admitted. Undue influence. But Victoria banked on my broke status. Fraud's criminal, he added. DA might bite. Copies in hand. Including IP traces to their home. I left empowered. Why help? Thomas wasn't vicious. This reeks of manipulation. Victoria's text buzzed, meet tomorrow. 3 p.m. House. Discuss terms. I replied, can't wait. The Carter home in Evanston loomed like a haunted relic, red brick colonial. Echoes of better days. Victoria opened the door. Poised as ever. Punctual. Emily. Air kiss. Suffocating scent. Dylan's here. Family matter. The den screamed remodel. Dad's cozy recliners gone. Replaced by sterile minimalism. Dylan sprawled. Feet up. Hey. Half-sis. Bummer about the bill. I stood firm. Let's talk paying your Northwestern ride on my fund. Silence snapped tight. Dylan sat up. Victoria laughed it off. Delusions. Dear. Thomas redirected when you ghosted us. I was at U of I. I flashed email screenshots. Fakes from your IP. Victoria's mask cracked. Accusations in my home? While Dad was dying. You forged a debt to cover theft. Call the lawyer, she snapped at Dylan. But he hesitated. Mom. What's she on about? Alone. Her venom spilled. Thomas chose us. That money was Dylan's the second he gave up on you. It hurt. But I countered. Fraud's federal over $50,000. Enjoy prison. Fear flashed. What do you want? Drop the debt. Repay $85,000. Vacate the house, Grandma's legacy. Spent. Then face prosecutors. I left her crumbling. In Denver. I called my old roommate. Mia. Now a fraud investigator at Chase. Over lattes and Lodo. I laid out the docs. Signatures? Amateur, she said. Pressure mismatches. Timeline. Withdrawals mirrored Northwestern bills. Plus. Life insurance. Beneficiary flipped 6 weeks pre-death. From you to them. $600,000. Signature shaky. Unlike Dad's. Duress? Mia nodded. Then an anonymous email. UNS sent letter from Dad. Weeks before death. Failed you. M. Victoria showed proof you got funds. But I doubt. Debt's wrong. She's controlling meds. Visits. If I go, check the fund. Love always. Headers from their house. Dylan? Phone rang. Him. Mom doesn't know. Found this hidden. More. Fake expenses backdated. She knew about his health early. You witnessed forgeries. She said investments. I was dumb. Testify. Pause. Don't know. But safety deposit box, Bank of America. Loop. 519. Key under porch light. Tonight. This could jail her. Maybe deserved. Dad didn't die easy. Click. Mia drove me back. Box yielded. Audio tapes of threats. Pristine trusts. Med records showing overdose risks. Dad's journal of manipulation. Not just fraud, Mia said. Abuse. Maybe homicide. Courtroom in Cook County buzzed. Victoria's hotshot firm versus Harlan and D.A. Reyes. Evidence piled. Forged SIGs. Emails. Diversions. Victoria testified tearfully. Difficult stepchild. But forensics shredded her. Bombshell. Dylan on stand. I don't support Mom. Uproar. She stole. Forged. I helped blindly. Saw her up his meds Doc didn't order. Made him sign in tears. Victoria screamed contempt. Med expert. Levels fatal. Intentional. Guilty. Fraud. Embezzlement. Abuse. Manslaughter. Repay $85,000 plus $60,000 damages. Beneficiaries reversed. Prison, 10 years. Sentencing sealed it, 10 years federal. Restitution via asset sales. Check, $145,000. Insurance, $600,000. Dylan outside, rehab. Community college finance. Therapy unpacking her hold. Folder, photos of dad and me. Pride shining. Last letter, failed through cowardice. But love never wavered. Closure hit. I funded the Thomas Carter Resilience Scholarships with $150,000 for kids like me. 6 months on, at his grave. Lake Michigan breeze. Loans paid. Funds thriving. Dylan's rebuilding. Met someone, Mark. Study. Forgave your weakness. Martha's, Victoria's greed backfired. Forging my strength. She rots in cell. I build from ruins. Revenge? Not destruction, it's rising unbroken. Turning poison to purpose.